Hey, what's up guys, Murder of Birds here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the next batch of my Red vs. Blue reactions with Season 9. This is going to be my reaction video for episodes 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Two things really quick. Number one, this is going to be an incredibly long video, especially for what I have to talk about with my pre-reaction discussion. So if you're not into the kind of in-depth, long-winded rambling, just skip to the reaction. And secondly, if you guys hear noise in the background, I have my air conditioning running on low. Reason for that being, at the time of me recording this, it is over 100 degrees where I live, and it is incredibly hot. And usually I don't turn my AC on, so that way it doesn't pick up any background noise in the in the mic when I do these videos. But I do not want to be sweating my ass off, and I don't want to be practically melting as I'm kind of delivering this video, which is probably going to be over an hour long. So if you do hear it in the background, hopefully it's not too bad. Let me know how that is in the comments, and I'll try to find a workaround. If the weather gets worse and worse as the summer progresses. But yeah, for today, I'm gonna have my AC running on low. My room is very cool right now, so I kind of feel really comfortable to kind of get into the nitty-gritty of what we're gonna talk about. So like I said, this is going to be my reaction to episodes 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. This is a 5-part reaction. I think one of the longest ones that I've done. I usually do 4 episodes per week, and actually I can already tell you this is going to be over an hour video because I have a lot to talk about with the previous episodes 9 through 12. I have an entire notebook page written and half of the second page written of things that I kind of went back and watched the previous batch, picked up on a lot of things. I have my own little theories and analysis that I kind of want to get into with you guys for the discussion for the first half of the video. And the reason the batch is so long is because a friend of mine, Georgia, she's been kind of curating all of my watch orders for all of Red vs. Blue since like season 3. She gave me the full watch list and whatnot. And normally she knows I kind of like my reactions to be about 20 minutes long, at least the watch time for the episodes to be about 20 minutes long. But she did tell me that episodes 13 through 17 encompasses an entire plot sequence, and that there was no real spot to kind of just stop because it would be like in the middle of something happening. So for the sake of the entire plot sequence being in one video, having everything delivered to me at once, and then I can think over it after the fact, the reaction for just the runtime of those 5 episodes is 31 minutes. Not to mention like the introduction that I'm doing here, my pre-discussion, my pre-reaction discussion, then my post-reaction discussion. So this is going to be a very long-winded video. I'm really excited to see what it has to offer, especially with what's going on in Blood Gulch and what's happening in the past with Project Freelancer. Also, this is the second to last reaction that you guys will get for the finale reaction of Season 9. So if you're seeing this on YouTube, the finale reaction to episodes 18, 19, and 20, which cap off Season 9, which I assume is that the first half of the Project Freelancer story arc, should be up on Patreon right now for early access patrons. And I'm actually excited to see how this is actually going to end, because if we're already halfway through, I assume Season 9 is really kind of getting us into the early phases of Project Freelancer, seeing snippets of the director, seeing a lot of the freelancers that were cameoed and featured throughout Blood Gulch and, Season 6, 7, and 8. Seeing a lot more of their dynamic and their interactions and how they were, because a lot of them were either dead or they had like York, and York had kind of like one debut in the miniseries. North was actually dead on arrival, like when we actually got to see him in South. South ended up dying as well, and we've only gotten snippets here and there, hearing of people like Carolina and stuff like that. So I'm really excited, and also like the meta, like we didn't know who he was prior to being the meta. So all of this, I think Season 9 is mainly going to focus on the freelancers as individuals, as, them as a unit of freelancers, and then I think Season 10 is going to introduce the Alpha and the artificial intelligence, and then kind of develop that dynamic of, now that we know what the freelancers were like by themselves, now we're going to see how they evolve and adapt and kind of develop with their AI counterparts. So I'm excited to definitely get the second half. I want to see more of the director. I want to see how, this rise and fall of this Project Freelancer, this entire, project and this entire thing goes down. I want to see more of the director, especially. We haven't really even seen his face, or we haven't seen the counselor. We don't know what what's going on with the UNSC and stuff like that. Charon Industries was mentioned a few episodes back, so I'm wondering if they're going to be relevant again. But anyways, thank you guys so much for joining. Like I said, I have a lot to get into with the pre-reaction discussion of the last episode batch. What I am actually going to do is I'm not really going to talk a lot about Blood Gulch. I'm really just going to focus on what we got from the freelancer's perspective of the past, from you know, the snippets of Project Freelancer, just because I feel like there's a lot more to kind of take in that regard, and this is primarily focused on the flashback of the, you know, the prequel story of the freelancers and whatnot. The only thing that I will say about Blood Gulch is there is a bit of development that's forming. Tex just showed up at the very end, and she's trying to shore up the numbers and kill someone off of the Reds, and I really hope memory and history doesn't repeat itself, where she's gonna go and try to fight the Reds, and she's gonna like get one up on Donut, and then Donut's gonna end up killing her again, similar to how real Donut killed real Tex, you know, in reality. Like, and this is in the capture unit, so basically everything is going accordingly to an extent, right? Church kind of stayed where he was supposed to. He didn't end up getting killed, which was good, and then lo and behold, Tex showed up. So I'm wondering how that you know, I wonder how things are gonna evolve and develop with you know, with what's going on with Epsilon and Tex and Blood Gulch. Simmons is kind of like hyper focused now. Like, we already knew like he was a kiss ass and he always wanted attention, but now he's trying to like kill Lopez because Lopez has all of the attention on him on the Red team. We have Lopez himself, who has all this popularity, and he's trying to gear it towards trying to figure out like what's causing the seismic activity. He's trying to use his popularity to get more resources and stuff like that. And like I said, Tex showed up, which is great. Obviously, Tucker and Caboose are still having little powwow sessions with Epsilon, which is really great to see. I love that. So like I said, in terms of Blood Gulch, not a lot that I'm going to kind of get into in terms of the nitty gritty. I kind of am going to be focusing solely or primarily on, you know, the past events with Project Freelancer and stuff like that. And the first thing I want to talk about that kind of kicked off the flashback sequence, which I thought was a neat touch at the start and at the end, you know, when we started the flashback and when we went back to Blood Gulch at the end, was how it started and ended with the grenade. So Tex threw the flash grenade, which exploded and caused, you know, the transition to the past with North and Wash, like having that conversation in the hallway. And then the same thing kind of ended, you know, that flashback sequence when York actually got hit with the grenade, and that explosion caused the transition, you know, after the, you know, with the aftermath of everything, that explosion caused the transition back to Blood Gulch for, you know, to continue the rest of the episodes, which I thought that was a really neat touch. I'm wondering if they, you know, they did that purposefully. It's like, hey, let's start off with a grenade, you know, and a grenade explosion which starts off the flashback, and then a grenade explosion to kind of end it off where it was. So that was pretty neat. So I kind of want to get into the freelancer interactions first, because the biggest thing that I was looking forward to this season, because I don't think we're going to get any AI aside from Tex, because she is the beta. I don't think we're going to get any of like the AI that derived from the emotions of the alpha until probably season 10. But I really wanted to see interactions between the freelancers, how they treated each other, who liked who, you know, or you know, stuff like that. Like, did anybody have a crush on anyone, or, you know, stuff like that. And North and Wash is kind of the first one that we really get from this perspective, and I think they're both really compatible as you know, peers and teammates and stuff like that. They seem very chill, and they had the conversation in the hallway where North was asking Wash about his meeting with internals, and I kind of wrote that down in big letters here because I feel like internals might be, you know, maybe he had a, maybe, you know, like how he kind of worked for the director and the counselor on trying to bring the meta back. So I think maybe he might be, you know, not their right hand man, but, you know, someone that kind of does their extra work, you know what I mean? So he's a freelancer, but he's also like a side operative for them. And he mentioned they kind of touched on using equipment in the field, which I assume you need authorization to use your abilities, where I never knew if that really came off as such, because we rarely got to see any of the ability. Well, when we did see the abilities, like Tex user camouflage, or, you know, you know, South using her brother's bubble shield that she ended up taking, we never really, you know, command was still tethered to them, but they never really needed authorization for that, which I can see, you know what I mean, especially if it's like top secret weaponry that they don't want to kind of put out there to everybody. It's like, hey, I was in a situation, I had to use it, otherwise we were going to blow up and die. Like, all those rockets were coming, so the bubble shield kind of saved all their asses. So I found that to be interesting. But one thing that I kind of took away from this entire first part of the episode that I didn't pick up when I first watched it was what Washington said. And he said, you know, he was like, hey, you know, North was like, hey, what did they talk to you about? He was like, I really can't talk about it. And he's like, come on, man, I'm still getting heat for using equipment in the field. And he's like, no, it's fine. It wasn't about you. But then they mentioned two things I was really interested in. First off, Washington mentions, like, and I quote, he says, lots of questions about the insurrection and transmissions coming out of our... And then he got interrupted by that soldier that bumped into him. So, there is a revolt, a rebellion of some sort that is happening... I don't know if it's happening within Project Freelancer, like with the lesser freelancer agents, right? Because we know that there was eventually like there was a bunch of rebellious freelancers that kind of did the break-in to get Alpha out of his torture chamber, like out of captivity of being tortured. So I don't know. That could be a bunch of things, right? So first off, that could be lesser freelancers that probably are fed up with the project and they aren't in the spotlight like these freelancers are. Like I mentioned, I think out of the 50 freelancers that we know of, 10 of them are really relevant to the story that we see on a day-to-day basis or an episode-to-episode basis since the show has started. So the other 40 are probably scorned as fuck. So, you know, I'm wondering, because insurrection, I had to write the definition of it too. Insurrection is a violent uprising or rebellion against an authority or government. And I assume Project Freelancer does have a bit of authority to them, as well as the UNSC and Charon Industries. So I don't know which one of those three authority figures or forms of government, if you will, is having this insurrection take place. He also mentions transmissions coming out of our blank. So I don't know what to make of that. The only thing I can think of is maybe there are leaks, like their transmissions are being leaked to a third party. You know what I mean? Because Charon Industries, it seems like Charon Industries is now going to have it out for Project Freelancer because their freelancers weren't tactful, right? Like South kind of blew their cover. They know who I assume they know who attacked them and or who infiltrated and stole from them. So Charon Industries could be that force that's being that's having that uprising. It could also, like I say, be within the ranks of Project Freelancer for the lesser freelancers who eventually revolt. And maybe Project Freelancer crumbles from the inside out, right? Especially from all the freelancers who probably feel like they're in competition with one another and, you know, they're all being pitted against each other. That's an easy recipe for disaster, to kind of just destroy your establishment from the inside out. So that's kind of my initial understanding. It's either related to Charon Industries or it's from within Project Freelancer itself. For, you know, maybe they have a mole. Maybe there's somebody that's within Project Freelancer that's feeding information to the UNSC about what's happening, or Charon Industries with whatever's going. Like, hey, someone from here stole your tech, and maybe they're pissed off with, you know, Project Freelancer, so maybe they'll just jump ship and go do something. You know, maybe they'll jump ship and they'll go tell, you know, the UNSC, because isn't that what Washington did? Didn't Washington do the same thing? Like, at first he, like, right now in the past, he is, like, so far up the director's ass, it's not even funny. Like, he is, like, he's a Boy Scout. He's, like, a lapdog. He thanks the director for everything. He's, like, he's trying to, you know, he's helped us with everything. We owe him everything. And he sees eye to eye with the director. Like, at least right now it's kind of hazy because he realized, he's like, oh man, you know, they didn't follow protocol, they didn't follow procedure, right, with Wyoming and Maine attacking techs with live ammunition in the training field, and they didn't get in trouble. And Washington was like, what the heck, man? Like, really? They're not following rules and you're just gonna let that slide? And then CT kind of reinforces what she said before. She was like, I told you, dude, like, picking and choosing, like, you have to find out where you are on that list. You have to draw that line of, you know, do you value yourself or do you value this guy who doesn't give a shit about you? And so, isn't that like what Washington ended up becoming? He became a lapdog for the UNSC after Project Freelancer kind of flopped. So I can definitely see that happening with somebody else, or not necessarily Wash, but like maybe somebody else, maybe, you know, maybe South will get pissed off and leave, or maybe CT will get pissed off and leave, and, you know, go and join one of these other factions because, you know, she feels scorned, and, you know, puts and that in turn will put a target on the director's back. You know what I mean? Because eventually I think everything's going to crumble from the inside out with his whole plan of everything, and I don't know how that's going to affect everybody. So that insurrection line kind of grew and expanded on everything I just explained to you. I kind of just like let my mind run wild of like, okay, there's going to be a revolt. Is it from one of these other, is it from the UNSC, is it from Karn Industries, or is it within Project Freelancer, based on the context that we know that eventually freelancers kind of went AWOL, freelancers rebelled and you know, broke in and kind of just said fuck it, like fuck the director, you know, the hell with them, you know, using the alpha for their own experimentations and stuff like that. So that was a very interesting kind of piece of information that was revealed. There is an insurrection and transmissions are coming out of our blank. So maybe their information is being leaked to a third party. So with that, another thing, oh my god, I lost my shit when I watched the episode for a second time. And I wish I had picked this up during my first watch, because I mentioned, again, like I said a little while ago, we don't really get to see that many freelancers. We really only know about the 10 freelancers. We know about Carolina, Wyoming, Maine, Washington, Texas, North Dakota, South Dakota, CT. I don't know if Florida is a freelancer, but, you know, there's him. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of freelancers that we don't see in the mix. But what's really cool is that Washington actually mentioned Utah when he found out that North was using his equipment in the field. He was like, you know what happened? You know what almost happened? He said something along the lines of, you know what happened to Utah during his training? You could have been killed. So I assume Agent Utah had a run-in with his equipment that turned out bad. I don't know if it killed him or if it severely hurt him, but it appears that there are other freelancers that are out there that they're giving a little bit of context to here and there when it comes to, you know, it's not just us, you know what I mean? There are others out there. They might not be in the picture, but they're very much active. So I thought that was really, really cool that they referenced a freelancer that we've never seen before, but they still exist. So hopefully, I don't know if they'll ever get into, you know what I mean? Because, like, what's beyond Project Freelancer, right? I assume at some point, I know they're on season 16 right now with this series. I assume Project Freelancer has been put to bed at this point. I assume by like season 13 or 14. I think by season 13, because season 14 was an anthology, if I remember correctly, and then season 15 and 16 was a different director that's working on the show now. Joe Nicolosi, I think that's his name, and Miles did the Chorus trilogy. So I feel like at some point, Project Freelancer, like as a story, as a core story piece that is kind of what everything's been at the core of Red versus Blue since this point, is eventually going to end. So what's going to become of those other freelancers? You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of the freelancers that we have now in the present are dead. The only one that's around is Washington. So, you know what I mean? Like, are the other 40 freelancers also dead? Are they MIA? Are they like doing their own thing? Are we gonna see any? I'm just wondering if we're gonna see any other freelancers that we don't see between now and the end of the story of Project Freelancer and the director and these AI and all that kind of stuff. Because I do feel like eventually that story will end. So that was initially like a really cool thing to kind of hear. That Utah, you know, Agent Utah, another freelancer that we never seen before, is still mentioned and relevant in the grand scheme of things. So that was kind of cool. So the next thing I want to get into, why is Tex so fucking broken? Tex is so broken. She's OP mega hacks, dude. 3v1. She went up against she went up against Wyoming, Maine, and York. Right? And York is number 2 on the list. So she didn't go up against the best. Like, I hope and pray that we get to see Carolina fight Tex, because I really want to see who's better, right? Or if it's a draw, right? Because I mentioned before, I think maybe they sampled Carolina after Texas, because Texas is basically an AI. She's a supercomputer, basically. And so if she's sampled after the best freelancer, on top of having, I wonder if she has Omega. I wonder if she had Omega in her at that point, because she was like kind of going ape shit, really. And I would be really, and I mean, I know she herself is an AI, but if she's coupled with Omega already, I can definitely see why there's no doubt in my mind of why she wiped the floor with all of them. But York was holding his own. You know, he's the second best, and he kind of like, he was holding his own for like 5 seconds, but that 5 seconds was super impressive compared to Wyoming and Maine, who've been getting bodied by her since the day they met her in this training, which is no surprise why they hate her fucking guts and want her killed when they come across her in Blood Gulch and the other seasons. So yeah, she's incredibly OP. She seems to be more in her prime now. So here's the thing, right? I do feel like there is a bit of inconsistency with Tex right now. It's like, how, like, this took place years ago, many years ago. We don't have numbers, but many years ago this all took place. And you have Tex, who seems to be in her prime right now. She was probably recently created, and she bodies 3 freelancers. But you flash back to Blood Gulch. I mean, you fast forward, technically, chronologically speaking, you fast forward to Blood Gulch, and she gets killed by Donut with a freaking Hail Mary grenade. Granted, you can say that she was stuck in the tank, but, like, you know what I mean? It's like, it seems a little ass backwards. And I can understand why that's the case, especially since I'm pretty sure they didn't even have the foresight of looking into Project Freelancer and showing how much of a badass Tex was in the past compared to what she is now. And I think I remember hearing somebody say that Bernie was actually inspired to do a Project Freelancer backstory because Halo Reach came out, and Halo Reach was a prequel to the Halo stories. You know, like the game Halo Reach was a prequel before Halo 1 and all the other ones. Like the Fall of Reach was kind of what set off everything, I believe, with the Covenant and stuff like that. And I think that's what inspired him to do his own prequel story of Project Freelancer. So again, looking at it from that perspective, you look at season 1 of Red vs. Blue, which was like, what, 2007, 2008? And then you look at Halo Reach, which came out, I think, in 2009, 2010, I think between 2009 and 2011, I think. And you look at those two comparisons, and it's easy to tell why it's inconsistent, because what he thought of back then eventually evolved into what he wanted it to be now with season 9. So I'm not really detached that much of, like, how the hell can she body these 3 freelancers but then get one shot by Donut, you know, with a lucky grenade throw. So I'm not really too crazy about that. She definitely seemed to be in her fucking prime at that time, which was insane. And it was also mentioned that her name was reserved. Texas, you know, when they found out, they were like, point to Texas, and they were like, Texas? I thought that name was reserved. I'm wondering why the director decided to reserve the name Texas for her, unless, because if Allison was his wife, wouldn't her name be like Allison Church? Or maybe her maiden name before she got married was, you know, Allison Tex or Allison Texas or something. Or maybe she really was from Texas, who knows? I just thought that was really cool. Another thing here, so I went back, obviously I rewatched that animation sequence like 30 fucking times, which was absolutely incredible. And I picked up on the lyrics of that song, and I assume that that's Tex's. That song seems to have been tailor-made for Tex during that fight. Like, you got 3 dudes trying to go up against this badass chick in black who's literally laying you all the fuck out, right? And she, like, don't fuck with Tex is basically what the song implies. I think the song is called On Your Knees. But what was pretty cool was that, again, I feel like this song was very much tailor-made. And this is why, again, like Jeff Williams has mentioned it, Casey Lee Williams has mentioned it, Jeff can really take any situation and turn it into what he wants for telling a story or for a particular character or show or situation, right? He took the States, he took Texas, he took Project Freelancer, which has, you know, all the freelancers that are based on a state, and he made a cool song out of it. And you could literally kind of infer this to be like the state of Texas anthem, right? Like if you're from Texas, like, yo, don't fuck with Texas, you know what I mean? Like everything's bigger in Texas and all that stuff. But the excerpt that I want to pull from here, which kind of references other freelancers because it's you know, it mentions other states. It says, you can screw Nevada, mess with Maine, leave Hawaii in a puddle of pain. You can beat Virginia till she's down on the floor, but if you fuck with Tex, you'll be on your knees for sure, motherfucker. And I think that is, I'm like really looking forward to hearing that song because they mentioned Nevada, which, you know, that's obviously another freelancer we haven't seen. Maine, so Maine got a little cameo in here when he was getting his ass beat by Tex in the episode. Again, a song tailor-made for that episode, for that situation, for those characters. Virginia apparently is a girl, so if we ever see Agent Virginia, we already know that that's a girl, hopefully. And obviously, don't fuck with Tex. Like, we've seen firsthand, right? We saw her fight the Reds and the Blues. We saw her fight Washington and Maine. We're now seeing her fight Maine, Wyoming, and York. 3v1, and literally just cleaning house. I think the score was like 9-0, 0-9, or 0-10. I don't know if that last round counted because, you know, everything kind of went crazy. The director had to step in and everything like that, and they were basically trying to, like, kill. I don't know if they were. So see, here's the thing. I don't know if they were trying to, like, themselves, like they themselves were pissed off. They're like, fuck this shit. Like let's just fucking kill this girl, or let's kind of like put her on ice a little bit and make her a little scared. Or I don't know if the director was like, hey, once things get to a certain point, I want you to like push her to her limits. I want to see how far she can go. So I don't know if that was intentional or if they took it upon themselves to have that live ammunition. Because CT even mentioned, she was like, who do you think gave them the ammo? And I'm thinking like, who did give them the ammo? You know what I mean? So that was kind of, you know, so that was like a little bit of the portion part that I wanted to talk about with Tex. I think she's such a freaking badass. And again, it comes down to the fact that like she just bodied these 3 dudes. She seems like she's in her prime and everything like that. One thing that I want to get into, right? And this is probably going to be for not the rest of the discussion, but a fair bit. It's going to bounce back and forth. I want to talk about Agent Carolina. So I have written here, like Carolina analysis. So we've only seen Carolina for 2 episodes, right? Really, like her episode introduction when she came in and like whooped ass, you know, against Charon Industry employees and kind of saved North and South. And this episode, like this episode batch where she's kind of leading the charge, not leading the charge, but she's kind of observing everything. She seems to be in a position of authority, a position of power over everyone else, especially since she's number 1. She is a hard ass. Like, I don't want to go that far because I really don't know her character, but she comes off as a bitch. Like, she's very, like, I don't want to say she's condescending, but she seems very arrogant. And I'm going to have a few clips here that kind of reinforce what it is I'm talking about, and then I'll get more in depth of like what exactly I'm thinking about when I see those scenes.
Son of a bitch.
What's going on?
It's her.
What? What's she doing here?
Both of you, can it?
Sounds like someone might be a little concerned about their position.
Hey, South, pay attention. You might actually learn something if you stop running your mouth for a minute.
Nice moves.
Could be luck. We'll see.
Wow, okay, that was pretty impressive.
Hate that paint. Tell me about it. Stings like a bitch.
Turns your armor hard as a rock.
I wouldn't know. It's not bad if you don't let it hit you.
She probably saved his life. Quick thinking.
Yeah, really quick.
So with all of those points in mind, I'm gonna try to do something that I feel like is very appropriate at this point. Alongside, like I mentioned, I'm gonna be bouncing a little bit back and forth here. So in this analysis breakdown that I'm gonna have for my thoughts on Carolina, I kind of want to cross-reference her with another character. And this is probably, it's not the most concrete thing, but I feel like it is relevant because of the fact that I'm seeing a lot of comparison. I'm seeing a lot of similarities and especially differences. I want to do a cross-reference of Carolina, Agent Carolina, and Pyranikos. So for those of you guys who don't know, I'm pretty sure I'm the one that's kind of at this point in the know with all of you guys, but Agent Carolina is from Red vs. Blue, Pyranikos is from Ruby, and they are both voiced by the same voice actress, Jen Brown. And both of these characters seem to have very similar yet very opposite characteristics and traits, both for their character themselves and the situation that they're in. And I wrote a few of these down here. I'm going to be looking over these just to make sure I have everything in order. So first things first, right? They were both the best of the best. Pyranikos was at the top of her class. She won the Mistral Regional Academy, 3 years in a row. She's this perfect student that, everyone kind of reveres and thinks that they're too good for her. Thinks that she's too good for them. So she is very much placed high on this pedestal of being like the perfect star student. And then you look at Agent Carolina. She's on the top rankings, number 1 out of 50 freelancers. She seems to be in this position of power as well, based on what South mentioned. She was like, looks like someone's afraid of their position. And as a result, both of them obviously share similarities with being distanced from their peers, right? Pyra mentioned in Ruby that Jean was kind of the person that broke through to her and got through to her, of being someone who saw her for her and not for her achievements, not for her accolades, not for her reputation and stuff like that. And that is what allowed her to kind of come out of this shell of being someone that's been ostracized by people who kind of put her on this pedestal that she never asked to be on. And as a result, she's been able to make friends like Nora, like Ruby, like Team Ruby, like Nora, like Ren and stuff like that, and especially Jean, who she ended up falling in love with. But the very opposite is happening with Agent Carolina. She is being distanced and almost doesn't seem, on the surface level, it doesn't seem like she cares that much, right? The biggest thing that I want to put out there, and the biggest thing that I took away from why I said that, is because of the scene where she was taught, like they were taught, like, right, so you had North Dakota, South Dakota, and Washington all talking about the lockdown paint scenario, and no, you had one of them that were saying, oh man, I hate that paint, and then, you know, someone else said, yeah, it stings like a bitch, and then someone else said, yeah, it hardens your, you know, it makes your armor as hard as a rock. That right there is shared experiences. That is something that all three of them can relate to. That's something that all three of them are able to kind of learn and understand together. Right? And that sets them in a specific category compared to Carolina, because she opens her mouth and then she says,
I wouldn't know. It's not bad if you don't let it hit you.
and I'm not gonna lie, that's very cocky to say, right? To look at these three people that you know you are better than, right? Whereas, you know, and that's the thing, Pyrrha would never do that, right? When in Volume 3, when she was talking about, like, you know, making it to the final round of the tournament, she was like, I would never be here without my teammates, right? Crow kind of came in and he was like, I think it's the other way around, which Pyrrha is humble. Pyrrha is grateful and appreciative of having her teammates, even if she knows she's better than them. And another thing, kind of cross-reference, and I'm going to cross-reference Tex in here a little bit, the fight between Tex against the Freelancers reminded me of the fight between Pyrrha and Team Cardinal in Volume 2. Like, Pyrrha just wiped the floor 4v1, Tex wiped the floor 3v1, right? And I kind of find that interesting because I also think that there is a little bit of a connection between Tex and Carolina is I'm doing a cross-reference, you know, so I'm cross-referencing all three of these characters at this point. But anyways, I really do think that it was very cocky for her to say that, to kind of condescend, like have a very condescending tone, like, you know, I wouldn't know. And it's like, well, no one asked for your fucking opinion. Like, I know that's a little harsh to say, but it's like, nobody asked for that opinion of, like, I wouldn't know. And then all three of them turn their heads. They're like, bitch, like, what? Like, what the hell? Why did you say, like, why would you be cocky and say something like that? She was like, it's not bad if you don't get hit by it. And it's like, yeah, that's the whole fucking point. But just because you're perfect and you've never been hit by it, that doesn't give you a right to kind of talk down to other people because they're in a different camp than you. So I found that to be incredibly polarizing, right? Pyrrha would never ever do that, never say that. And I'm not saying she has to be Pyrrha. I'm just saying, as a cross-reference, looking at these characters in both their similarities and their differences, that's the opposite, right? Pyrrha is very humble, she's very, you know, courteous to her peers, whereas Carolina is very much a hard ass, not condescending, but very arrogant, somewhat cocky. She's in this position of power, and that in turn gives her a very, I guess, abrasive personality when it comes to the people around her. So, and then another thing, they were both quote unquote chosen. And I'm using that very loosely in Carolina's sense because she's probably number one on the list because of her skills. I don't think she was chosen to be number one, but what I will say that she was chosen for is the fact that she got 2 artificial intelligence while everybody else got 1. So I think because of her skills, her innate talent, and, you know, based on the fact that she is, you know, a top tier freelancer and the best one in the entire project, I think she was then chosen to kind of take on more of a burden than anybody else because the director thought she could handle it. Similar to Pyrrha, Ozpin chose her to be the Fall Maiden because, you know, she felt that she had all of the characteristics, basically she had everything aligned with what a maiden would have been. And again, Ozpin and the director looking to these characters who are played by the same person, polar opposites, very much similar and different in many respects, both chosen for their own respective universes and for their own respective roles. So I think that's really, really, really I don't know if there's any cross-reference in that regard. I don't know if Monty was like, hey, Agent Carolina is pretty much a badass. Let's make a parallel opposite of her and you know, give the same role, the same reprising role, and kind of see if we can make a similar dynamic to kind of cross-reference these two characters like I'm doing. So I think that's really cool. She comes off as very, 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 like, again, she and now I'm kind of just getting into Carolina. I really hope that I'm wrong about her. Actually, you know what? I hope I'm not wrong about her. I hope everything that I'm saying about her right now is accurate, because it's the same way that I'm looking at Agent Washington. He's very much a Boy Scout. He's very much plays by the books, plays by the rules, follows protocol, follows procedure. You know, he's going to go tell the director if you don't follow the rules. And then look at him now in Season 8. He fucking hates the director. He hates the freelancers. He hates the AI projects and everything. He wants out of that. And he's doing whatever it takes. Like, he doesn't give a fuck. And he's basically he's basically like what CT is right now. So I think over time Carolina will change. But as of right now, I think another big thing too is, like, again, her relationship with her peers. Like, South Dakota does not fucking like her at all. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a confrontation down the line with them two, because she ends up saying, pay attention, you might learn a thing or two if you keep your mouth shut. And you have to realize, when you're in a position of power and you talk to somebody like that, that only creates resentment. That only creates, is this even a word, inferiority? Like, you're making South feel inferior to you. And South is very reckless, and that's the last thing you want to do, is make an enemy out of somebody like her. At least I would say, which eventually she became a pseudo-antagonist and had to be put down by Washington, but, like, it's really bad to do that in that situation, with Carolina talking down to South in that regard, because put them side by side. They're both females. They're both freelancers. One has an AI. One ends up getting 2 AI. One gets none. One is at the top of the list. One is at the bottom of the, I assume she's going to get switched with Washington, but is not ranked number 1. One's ranked number 5, or eventually ranked 6 if she gets demoted for Washington. They're on complete opposite spectrums. So you have to understand that the resentment that this girl is probably feeling with how she's being treated by the director, with how she's being reprimanded, by how she's being treated differently because she doesn't get an AI unlike her brother and everybody else in the program, even though she's on the top of the boards, that's a recipe for disaster all over the place. And I really hope that it doesn't get to the point where she's gonna, like, lash out and maybe even attack Carolina. Again, I could just be rambling and just be kind of letting my mind run wild with speculation in that regard, but I think I see it. I definitely see it, especially since she was willing to do that with Washington. Shoot him in the back, take Delta, take her brother's, armor ability, and just be like, I got what I wanted, I'm out, peace. You know what I mean? Like, eventually she's not going to care about anybody, even her own family. So I can definitely see that happening. So that's kind of like my initial analysis and cross-reference of Agent Carolina. Again, I think, and I'm going to get into this, I'm going to talk about Carolina a little bit more here, because I'm going to transition now to towards the end of the past sequence with York and what happened with his eye. So in the miniseries, he actually mentions, I think he says something along the lines of, like, I'm the reason why he was talking to Tex, he's like, you're the reason why I have a bad eye, and she was like, technically, I'm the reason you still have a good eye, because she used the armor, like, the armor paint, the armor lock paint, to kind of harden his armor to save him as much as she could, which was pretty great. And I like how they referenced that, and they went back to that, and they kind of gave the origin story of that as well. Even though you never see his face, the fact that he said he's missing an eye, it's like, okay, that happened in the past, and now that we're in the past, let's add that into the story and give it some relevance and some context. I really like how stories do that, or how writing kind of, like, you know what I mean? Like, if anything happens in the past, I instantly want to know about it, and I'd rather see it than be told about it, you know what I mean? So, again, in that regard, in terms of comparing the writing with Ruby to the writing of Red vs. Blue has Ruby beat by, like, a mile, with how, especially with Project Freelancer, which is a very self-contained, very small portion of what we eventually get in the grand scheme of things, and this is only 2 seasons, and I feel like they're going to cover a lot more in the past, and I really hope Ruby learns from that writing aspect. I know it was written by Bernie, of, like, mentioning things in the past and going back to those, right? Like, everyone wants a Team Stark flashback, for example. Everyone wants to know how Summer died. Everybody wants to know Ozpin and Salem's relationship. And the only way you can really, truly, honestly tell that is in the form of a flashback arc or a flashback season, similar to Kuroyuri, but Kuroyuri was definitely worth of having like a single episode by itself. And now I'm getting into Ruby discussions, but all in all, I love how they decided to do the mentioning that little small tidbit of information back during the mini-series of Blood Gulch, during Blood Gulch Chronicles, and how it's being relevant now with the Project Freelancer backstory. So I thought that was pretty neat. Again, we figure out how his eye got messed up. So what I'm wondering now at this point is, I wonder if York is going to be the first one to get an artificial intelligence, because he's somewhat handicapped with having, lost his eyesight. I don't think he has depth perception anymore, and Delta would be a saving grace for him. He, out of everybody that I've seen, is the most team-oriented. I actually laughed a bit. Like, I went back and rewatched it, and the two phrases that go back to back, I'm going to show you guys them right here because they're really, really funny.
Let's just play it by the book. Main, how about you flank left, or you could just charge in and get immobilized first. Main, look, I'm going to move left. You go. Or you just run out, do whatever you want, and then get killed. Ready? Break. Good job, everybody.
It just kind of shows, and York volunteered for this too, so if it wasn't for York volunteering, it probably would have been a 2v1 with Wyoming and Maine, who are very gung-ho, but like, you had York, who's very team-oriented, he's kind of strategic, he wants to form a game plan, he wants to work around that, he wants to bring out everyone's strengths, and he kind of wants there to be no gaps in between, he wants there to be basically no gaps in their strategy. And I love how he was really, really trying, to work with Maine and to work with Wyoming. And they were just like, fuck it, we're going to do whatever we want. Delta was the best choice out of any artificial intelligence for him based on York alone. And that's why I love that we're getting... The reason why I love that is because I love that they decided to split this Project Freelancer arc into 2 seasons. One season where it focuses on the freelancers, isolated freelancers, like without their AI, and season 10 will probably be, the aftermath of, the dynamic and the development of the freelancers with their AI. Because now I can definitely see if I saw what York looked like York was like, and what the freelancers were and the AI were like, I would have picked Delta for him too. And I think, again, it works very well with their synergy, logic-based, strategy-based, team orientation. They have, I think, the best camaraderie and the best companionship out of any other companionship that I've seen so far of freelancers with their AI, and I think that really works great for them. Again, I'm wondering if he's going to be the first one to get an AI because he's in the situation that he's in, so it would be a good... kind of a good tester, like a good primer to see, like, okay, we have this freelancer who's going through some stuff. Let's see how much this AI can help him overcome, his basically, his eye loss, you know what I mean, and kind of getting on his feet and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if Delta was the first one given to York in that regard. You have Maine, who's fucking hard-headed as ever, and he actually talked for the first time. So everybody and their mother was commenting on the videos last week of like, hey, you missed it, Maine actually talked, and it's very subtle. You can almost not, and he sounds super grainy like he normally does, like he growls and stuff like that, so I wasn't expecting him to talk at all. And another thing that I didn't realize was that Wyoming is actually voiced by Matt Hullum, who voices Sarge. And I didn't know that. Like, I had no idea of that at all throughout the entirety of watching Red vs. Blue. Had no idea that he was voiced by Wyoming. That's why when I asked, I was like, Wyoming had no lines. If he's voiced by Matt Hullum, I'm even more surprised that he didn't have lines, because Matt Hullum's an in-house actor, you know what I mean? He's the CEO of the company, so I really hope we get to at least hear him a little bit more, because I haven't heard him since he was relevant in Blood Gulch, so that would be pretty neat. And like I said, kind of looking at all of these freelancers, Wyoming ended up getting Gamma. I don't really know, and I'm trying to see, like, what freelancers were given what AI based on, you know what I mean? So the example I'm going to use right here for Carolina is based on a video game that I played this year. For those of you guys who haven't played it, God of War for the PS4. If you have a PS4, go buy this game. Obviously, it's mainly recommended, especially if you played the other 3 games, because it only enriches the 4th game with Kratos and his son Atreus. Kratos and Atreus are parallel opposites. Kratos is very stern, very harsh. He comes from a world of grittiness and, grim lifestyle of being a warrior from birth, and he's a very hardened individual. He's had a rough past, and he doesn't trust people. He doesn't have a lot of compassion, and you know, he's just not a very loving and open person to people. And then you have his son Atreus. They both lost their mother. Like, Atreus lost his mother, Kratos lost his wife, and Atreus is very filled with love and compassion, and he's very tender and timid, and he's young and inexperienced, and he doesn't have the traits that his father has. Likewise, Kratos doesn't have the traits that his son has. So over the course of the game, they complement each other so fucking well, right? That by the end of the game, they grow from each other. They learn so much from each other. Atreus learns how to be a warrior, knows how to fight for survival, knows the meaning of life, so when he takes life, it's not because he feels like it, it's because, like, hey, I have to survive. And then Kratos learns to be open, show all ranges of emotions, to be happy, to be sad, to be worried, to, you know, to kind of put yourself out there and to help other people. And I use that analogy, I use Kratos and Atreus because I feel like the best thing that Agent Carolina could use as of right now, because she's on this fucking pedestal, she's sitting on her high horse, she's very cocky, very condescending to her peers. I think the best thing that she needs are AI that help develop her out of that little bubble that she's in, right? Very condescending, very, what's the word? She's just very arrogant. And I think it's because she's in this position that, like, she's never been beaten, or she's at the top of the, you know, she's at the top of the food chain, and she's got nothing to worry about, right? Other than Texas. And I noticed that too, like, during the entire exchange of, like, seeing how Texas fights, she was, I don't know if she was observing or if she was getting a little jealous of how her peers were talking about Tex. Like, people were, like, saying, wow, she's really fast, wow, she's really impressive, that's pretty cool. And one of the lines that Carolina said was like, could be luck, we'll see. Like, almost like she's feeling challenged, like, oh wow, this new freelancer just rolls into town and everyone's already all over her, whereas, like, I display myself to the masses and I get ostracized, you know what I mean? So I wonder if that is a part of her is feeling challenged by Tex's presence, because Tex is very much able to knock her off her throne. So yeah, so I have written here, she has 2 artificial intelligence. I want that dynamic of those 2 AI to be able to change her, right? I don't know what that's going to take. I don't know how you combat cockiness and hubris, you know what I mean? And I put here traits that complement or complete her. And then I wrote here emotions. And then obviously I talked about Atreus and Kratos from God of War. Now, I'm trying to figure out what 2 AI would she get, because we know that the alpha AI is pieces of compartmentalized emotion that were shed off of the AI in order for it to protect itself, to protect its sanity from, its torture. So failure wasn't really from the AI, it was a byproduct of the AI's creation. So failure is obviously text. So we have deceit, which is kind of like lying and stuff like that. Like, obviously it's deceit, so it's a form of lying. You got rage, which is anger. You got memory, creativity, and logic, right? So I kind of ran this little experiment and I was like, okay, what other ranges of emotions are there that would be relevant to the AI shedding off? Because I don't know what theta is. I don't know what the 2 other AI are for Carolina that she got. So we have 3 additional pieces of emotion that make up what the alpha kind of was going through during that. And I kind of decided to cross-reference what already exists. So for example, right, so Omega is rage, right? Omega is rage. So what's the opposite of anger? Happiness. Is there a freelancer with happiness? Why would the alpha tear off happiness and joy during a moment that he's being tortured and abused? You know what I mean? Deceit. Deceit is a form of lying, which comes off as corruption. So would the opposite of corruption be like innocence or something like that, or not telling the truth? Goodness or faith or something like that? Like, basically the opposite of corruption. Is that something? And one thing too that I think would really work for Carolina, holy shit, one thing that would work really well with Carolina would be fear. Out of everything, the alpha AI would be scared. He would be scared in that moment. And the best thing to do with someone who's cocky, who's arrogant, they're not afraid of anything because they're confident. They have that overconfidence that shields them from taking risks or doing something that they're afraid that they might fail at. Especially if she's at the top of the charts, if she's perfect, if she's a model student, I don't think she would ever have to worry about that. So that would actually be a real... What's the opposite of failure? I mean, no, never mind. Success wouldn't... No, she's a byproduct. So Tex is a byproduct. That's not a part of the AI's... It's not a part of Epsilon's extraction. I'm sorry, not Epsilon. Yeah, it's not a part of the true AI's... I'm like rambling now, Jesus. That's not a part of the alpha AI's extraction. So you got memory... I don't think there's an opposite of memory. Creativity, I don't really know how that would be... Oh my gosh. So yeah, so I got fear and happiness. Are the only two that I can really think of. In terms of what... But I think Carolina, if she was like shook, if she knew what it was like to be afraid, to like take a risk and not know what that kind of entails to people, not know what it feels like to take a risk and be afraid, because she's always in, you know, because she's just perfect. You know what I mean? Pyrrha was scared, and we found out how that affected her towards the end, right? Like, after finding out about the maidens, and finding out about this grand purpose that she has, like, it's like, you can help humanity, but at the sake of your identity. And that messed with her until the end, right? She attacked Jean, she went overboard on Penny, you know, and at the end, it cost her life to be afraid, but she still went through with it, you know? And I'm pretty sure she was scared up to go and face a fall maiden, knowing she wasn't gonna win. So... And that, at the end of the day, was what defined Pyrrha Nikos. The fact that even though she was scared, she went through with it anyway. We don't really have that dynamic with again, cross-referencing the two characters. We don't have that with Carolina. So I think the best AI for her, if there is an AI out there that is a compartmentalized piece of the alpha AI's fear, I think that would work well with her. Which then that would mean, what was the other AI that they gave? Because, oh my fucking god, what if they gave her both halves? What's the opposite of fear? Confidence? There wouldn't be a confidence AI, right? I mean, she's already confident. I'm trying to think... Because now I'm thinking in terms of an experiment. I'm not thinking like, hey, you get 2 free AI because you were, you know, you're the top of the charts. No, it's like, I feel like, again, this is the test. Everything the director is doing is a form of pushing his freelancers to the brink, seeing how much they can handle, driving a wedge between north and south to see how far he can drive family, pushing apart them two to see how far he can break away family. And even more so with this right now, seeing how far he can take his best pupil. Holy shit, I didn't even think of that. Like, I wonder if he does give her like fear and something else that goes parallel to that, how that would like eat away at her. Not eat away at her, but that how those two budding sides, how that would affect her herself. Which I think that's why at the end of the day they had to remove the 2 AI from her, if I'm not mistaken, because she couldn't handle it. Excuse me. And so, how long is this discussion? Jesus Christ. Yeah, this is going to be like a 40-50 minute discussion. So, enter at your own risk, guys. But yeah, so that's kind of like my overall thoughts of Carolina, my analysis, my cross-reference with her. Last thing that I will mention before we jump in is how observant Carolina is, actually. She noticed when Wyoming, I think it was Wyoming, that shot Tex. She shot Tex in the arm. Tex was sparking. That's why she couldn't use both pistols to kind of do the double shots on York to save him, like to help him out even more. So she was disabled in one arm, shot him, you know, that explosion went off, and when she was getting picked up and carried away, she was sparking. And I didn't even stop to think about that. I was like, oh, maybe that's her armor. It's like, naturally, I think that's what I thought. I was like, oh, her armor, maybe her armor lock is acting up. But I think it's sparked because she's technically a computer program in the body of in the suit of armor of a freelancer. So I think Carolina noticed that. And on top of that, she mentioned too, she was like someone was like, that was some fast thinking or some quick thinking. She was like, yeah, pretty quick. Like, Texas is a artificial intelligence supercomputer program that can think faster, faster, stronger, can think faster, can move faster, right? And can basically think and coordinate faster than any of these guys, which is why she made quick work of 3 freelancers on her own. Which again, I don't know if Omega's already a part of her construct yet or not, but I think she's already on to. I don't think she knows what Texas is, but I think she's very much on to like something's up. There's no way someone's that perfect. She's probably thinking to herself, I'm not even that perfect, so how the hell is this girl? Which is again, I think a reason why she would be initially challenged by Texas' presence, because she's kind of showing her up in front of her peers and everyone's like, hoorah, holy shit, this chick is amazing. And I'm pretty sure she never got those kind of compliments from her peers either. Holy crap. But anyways, I think that is everything. I think that's everything that I kind of wanted to go over and talk about with mainly the past. Again, the insurrection kind of caught my eye. The On Your Knees music was really, really great. Obviously, the analysis and the cross-reference of Carolina was mainly what I wanted to talk about and get across to you guys this video during this intro, because the finale's next week for season 9. Like I mentioned, at the time of this video going up on YouTube, it'll be up on Patreon for early access, and we're halfway done with Project Freelancer. And then the second half, all of the AI are going to come into the picture. The rise and fall of the director is going to happen. The rise and fall of the project's going to happen. And I'm just wondering how everything's going to go off. Obviously, again, we have this major sequence, episodes 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. It's going to be an additional 31 minutes on top of what you guys already watched. So hopefully you guys are down. Hopefully you guys are excited and looking forward to my thoughts, theories, speculations, and my overall reactions for what we're about to get into. I have no idea what we're going to get into. A major sequence, I can only assume that it's going to primarily take place in the past with Project Freelancer, because I remember the director mentioning something like, our next mission, right? He was like, oh, South ruined our blew our cover, basically blew our stealth, so they're gonna be expecting us next time. So I think this is maybe the mission that they're gonna go on or something, if it takes 5 episodes. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening to me ramble. I really appreciate those of you especially. I want to give an extra special shout out and thank you to you guys who stick through these really long-winded, hour-long discussions that I've been doing for Season 9 and probably going to be doing with Season 10. Majority of people, if they don't enjoy it, I definitely know that they can skip straight to the reaction and get what they want out of the video and move on. But for those of you who are very much ingrained and looking forward to my thought process and my theories and everything of this show, I appreciate it, right? Like, Red vs. Blue to me is a lot more than just sitting down and reacting to the show and getting my hype and excitement out and then moving on to the next episode batch. Like, I do fucking homework every week for this show because it demands that. To really, truly understand this show and to understand it on all of its many layers, like, I love that this show exists. And again, this is kind of built up for me because of Ruby. Like, I'm very analytical when it comes to Ruby, so in turn it's a very natural thing for me to do even deeper with Red versus Blue because the story is so much more intricate than Ruby's been so far. So again, thank you guys very, very much. Like, I read all of your comments every week of people who tell me that they love my rambling and it's the highlight of their week, and they love listening to me talk about my thoughts before I get into the video, especially my post-reaction discussions. And again, for the people who just want to sit back and relax and enjoy the reactions, you can easily skip to them. No harm, no foul. I have no hard feelings. I just hate how, like, some people are like, I came here for the reaction, and it's like, well, then just go to the reaction, you know? At the end of the day, I want to share my thoughts in all forms of my thoughts so everyone knows that I'm on the same page and, you know, understands that I'm following this show to a T. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys again so much for your support. Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments, and without further ado, let us begin. All right, guys, we're going to be getting into Red vs. Blue Season 9. This is going to be my reaction batch again for episodes 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. This is going to be a 31-minute runtime reaction, so I hope you guys enjoy. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments. Oh boy, and without further ado, let us begin in 3, 2, 1, now. Oh, Project Freelancer stuff? Oh, necessity is the mother of invention.
Well, I just ran everything again.
Whoa!
Calculations
Is that trash?
great, taking into account standard communication and response time. Our window looks good.
I agree.
Well, you should. I'm sure you'd make the same calculations I did, just, you know, more slowly.
Arrogance is a rather unbecoming trait, Alpha.
Are you seriously giving me a lecture on arrogance right now? Heads up, you got a visitor.
Director,
Oh
Yeah, way ahead of you, bud.
Yes, Agent Carolina.
the team is ready, sir.
Excellent. Let us begin.
Oh, those are all the
Agents,
freelancers.
your mission today is by far the most important you have undertaken.
Planning the
to date.
heist.
As our number one, Carolina will be leading from the field.
Okay, here's what we have.
What are they doing?
As you may have heard, there
They're
is
planning a
suspected
GTA
insurrection
heist.
activity in this area. Our intel says that members of the UNSC loyal to the insurrection have acquired a high-level asset and are holding it in
Oh,
this
I was
secure
right.
location. It's a 110-story building in the middle
Yep,
of
it
an
was the
urban
UNSC.
environment.
What does security look like?
They have enough troops to fill a 110-story building.
So, that's a lot of security.
Oh,
Our
Wyoming!
job is to infiltrate the building, work our way up to the floor where the sarcophagus is being held, and secure it.
Sarcophagus.
Sarcophagus.
That is what we are calling the primary objective.
What is
But
it?
since this is a high-level asset, we need to access a key code to open the sarcophagus.
I'm guessing they don't keep that just taped to the side.
It's held by an official of the program who will be moving in a vehicle.
Oh
along
my
the
god,
freeway
this is so
between inspections.
legit.
That's when we'll hit the facility. We need to acquire both targets within minutes of each other.
Holy
Fail
fuck.
that, the remaining target will enter lockdown and we miss our window.
We will not have another chance at this.
So that means
What is it that they're getting?
Team A will consist of me, Wash, and Maine.
Okay.
We will work infiltration on the package's storage facility.
Is
York
Maine-
still in the infirmary, so Wash, you will have to pull lockpicking duty.
Okay. Guess I'll reread my field manual.
Whoa! 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 Wait!
So quick to
Pause. Back up. I need to back up for a second. Back up, back up, back up, back up. Okay. 3, 2, 1, now.
And we miss our window.
Okay,
We
we
will
miss our
not
window.
have
Okay,
another
I need
chance
to
at this.
So
pause
that means 2 teams.
at the right point. I think,
Team
did
A
I
will
just
consist
see
of
that
me,
right?
Wash, and Maine. We will work infiltration on the package's storage facility. York is still...
York is number 6 now! This guy got bumped from 2 to 6. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh dear, dude. He got that was such bullshit. That was an accident though. Like, he didn't do anything wrong. Why the fuck is he getting demoted so... Wow. I am pissed. I am pissed off right now. You really did York dirty. He lost a fucking eye on top of that. What does it take to stay on this list then? Like, I thought at first it was like, okay, if you don't follow the rules, right? Like, if you didn't stick to... He's so ass backwards. And that's what Alpha just mentioned at the beginning. He was like, you're talking to me about arrogance? So he demoted South because she didn't follow the rules, right? She didn't stick to the plan of stealth. So she got demoted. And then Wyoming and Maine break the rules of using live ammunition in a training field, and they don't get demoted. But York, who is the byproduct of that entire fiasco, who ends up getting injured, he gets demoted 4 fucking ranks? Are you kidding me? That really pisses me off, dude. I'm like really pissed. York, just because York doesn't deserve that. Okay, anyways. Sorry for getting off. All right, 3, 2, 1,
in
play.
the infirmary, so Wash, you will have to pull lockpicking duty.
Wow, I cannot
okay.
believe that.
Guess I'll reread my field manual in the transport.
And there he is.
Don't be so quick to give away my job.
Hey!
York?
Got a new helmet.
Thought you were in the hospital.
According to their records, I am.
Your
Oh.
eye.
It's okay. Docs will let me out tomorrow.
Tomorrow, huh?
Huh.
I couldn't let you guys have all the fun without me.
Oh my gosh, who's that blue
Besides,
freelancer?
Need someone to get you in.
Listen, I'm happy to see him too, but this mission, I don't know.
Hey, if York says he's good, then he's good.
Yeah, he survived, so he's good.
You're good, right?
Okay, look, I said I was okay. Good might be overselling it a little.
It's settled.
Okay.
York will join Team A and get them in the facility.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Transport
Target
will be 2 lightweight
Ray
Pelican dropships.
Sibyl.
For fast-running only people, no heavy armaments.
Team B will be North, Wyoming, and CT. You will act as recon for Team A, and once we enter the building, you will disengage to attack the target on the freeway. North will lead Team B.
Got it.
What about Agent South?
Agent South will not be accompanying you on this mission.
I guess the
Pause. It's happening. It's fucking happening! I can't believe I foresaw that. I literally... Oh, man. She didn't even get like, I understand a demotion is one thing, but she's being completely... like, this is not cool. Like, he's doing that on purpose. He's pushing her as far as possible. She doesn't get a freelancer. She got demoted. She's being ostracized like, we don't need you. That's not cool, man. Wow, I can't believe he's doing that. Okay. Wow, I am fucking shocked. Like, she's not even going on the mission. Alright, 3, 2, 1, play.
world's a tough place when you move down a rank.
Exactly.
And where's our new recruit? Will she be joining us?
That's enough questions.
Oh, Tex! Where's
What if
Tex?
he didn't say no? Team B should be simple. Stop the vehicle and grab the case. Team A, you have more of a challenge. Mainly, the sarcophagus is an unknown.
How unknown are we
Sarcophagus.
talking?
Unknown in that we don't know its size or its weight or its dimensions. We just know it will have these markings somewhere on the exterior.
What is
Saw the
that?
same markings on the oil platform.
Correct.
Oh.
That facility created the primary objective.
Do we know what's inside?
Is it an AI?
Yes, we know.
How do we know what's in it but not know how big it is?
Uh-oh.
Sorry, sir.
Asking too many
We have a job
questions.
to do, people. Let's do it right and come home safe.
That is all. You
Dismissed.
are dismissed.
Yes, sir.
They have no idea what they're getting into. Oh, shit. All right, here we go. Dude, I can't believe that, though. I can't believe she got kicked off the fucking squad. So what is it? Is it related to Project, like is it an AI? Is it a computer program? Is it what they need to
pick one.
split up?
Anyone?
Oh, no!
one on that
Damn,
side.
how are you gonna do that?
But, I'm not all that choosy.
Why are you looking at me when you say that?
No reason. Just pick one and take
Sup,
a shot.
Tex?
I'll cover you if they attack.
You mean shoot them with this?
Dude, that fucking
Wait,
heist is gonna be
he's
sick!
really not that great with that thing.
I can't
Give me a
wait!
break. You're a soldier.
Yeah, well, that's debatable.
Hit the rock over there.
Okay.
Nope. I'm sorry.
I think the sun
Son
reflected
of
off
a
the rock face
bitch!
there.
Just give me the damn rifle.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, man.
Hey, Simmons, did you hear that?
Sounded like a rifle.
I'm sure it's nothing.
More eruptions. Not eruptions, more seismic activity.
Good point, Simmons. Back to work. Dude, this has to be embarrassing for you. I don't really want to talk about it.
All right, come on. It's not that hard. Which one should we take out?
No!
The pink one? The orange one?
Pretty sure he's yellow.
Is it me or does he
He's
seem a little
gold!
slow?
Yeah, he moves himself back.
He doesn't like when you say
I
that.
meant the orange one.
Oh, yeah, he's just fat.
What about the red one? I mean, he's the leader. He seems tough. Or maybe the maroon one.
No, that's Lopez!
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really decide which one. Maybe we should put it to a vote.
You know what? Screw it. The maroon one is closest. We'll just shoot him.
Oh!
Ow.
Ow!
God, thanks.
Oh, his
God!
head!
Simmons! How did this happen?
Oh,
Wow.
God, they think he
That was
died.
pretty fucking brutal. Andrew Smith, I kept my promise. You have been avenged.
You know what? We should shoot another one. I think
No!
you guys...
Stop!
Are you sure? There was so much we had left to talk about. Like our feelings and hopes and dreams. And why most of your insides are wires.
Oh, gee. Most of your insides are wires.
You could have told me what was wrong.
Oh, God. We're gonna hear that throughout the whole canyon?
Maybe I'll let that one live. Might
Yeah.
demoralize the rest of them.
Good idea.
Come on, let's pack it in.
Does anyone else feel really,
Damn,
really
Lopez
dirty
got
about this?
fucked over
Not the good
again.
kind,
He
they're
died in
really
both
dirty?
real life and in here. Oh, okay. The mission! Yo, this looks so nice! It's got an entire city! What's that say?
Team A, you look
HNOS.
clear. Window is open. Start your clocks. On my mark.
Oh my
mark.
god, this is gonna be so an
Roger
entire
that.
freelancer mission!
Copy that, Carolina.
That's so sick.
Good luck, Team A.
Good luck.
We won't need it.
All right, Bravo, let's
Okay.
move out. We have
That's
3
nice.
minutes until first alert. Let's have our target in hand by 2.
Oh boy, alright. Stealth. And that's probably why they took her off the freaking thing, because she's not all about, like, they
We're
need to be
in.
stealthy.
York, get up here. How long to crack that lock?
Should take about 60 seconds.
Oh yeah, he was
15.
breaking locks in the freaking Out of Mind miniseries. Wow.
That's high end.
Can you get through it?
Of course I can. Didn't bring me along for my good looks, did you? Whoever designed this is a genius.
Wow.
You were
Oh
saying...
no!
Okay, I take it back. Whoever designed this is an asshole. Everybody in.
Thanks, York.
Be
but
careful.
Do something about that alarm system. We don't need any
Oh
more
shoot! It's the
surprises.
freaking alien ship.
Saying sorry count to something? Guess not.
We'll
Yeah.
secure the package. Set some trackers and then find us a way out of this.
Moving.
All right.
What the? Looks
Uh-oh.
like we got an alert on Sector 7.
Are these more of the
Whoa.
Karan Ind?
They
Oh
can
no,
keep
this
up
is
there
UNSC. Okay.
Simmons is.
Oh my gosh, it keeps bouncing back and forth. I just wanted to just stick to one or the other.
He may be dead, but he's never truly gone. Until we get rid of all his gross
Until
body
you
parts.
build
Griff, go
until
back
you
to
build a new
Garbage
one.
Sarge, I'm grieving here. Can't making up excuses to avoid work wait till later.
Pail. You're right, Griff. I suppose someone should say a few words.
Yeah.
Anybody?
We are gathered here today.
Donut?
I think he said he liked gum once. I don't know. That's kind of
Damn.
all I got.
How about
They don't
you,
even
Griff?
know Simmons.
Why me? Come on, Griff and Simmons. You guys were inseparable.
Yeah.
Surely the two of you must have gotten to know each other over the years. Yeah, I don't know.
You've gotten to know how much he hated him.
I'd lose interest immediately. And then he would ask me a question, and I would just go, huh? What? Oh, yeah, sure, Simmons.
Hey,
Whatever you
come
say.
on. You ever wonder
Well,
why
that
we're
perfect
here?
system.
That's like the question that started everything.
But he always stayed by your side. Isn't there anything you remember him telling you?
Huh? Oh, yeah, sure, Sarge.
Exactly.
Whatever. What about you, sir? Simmons always loved helping you.
He did have a knack for following orders.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd make things up just to get him off my back.
Oh, he's gonna hear how much they love him.
Just to keep him busy.
Oh
I'll
God.
miss doing that.
Guys, I'm free. Oh, wow.
Oh.
You already killed Lopez.
Oh wow.
Candid,
Hold on.
Simmons, we're trying to give your eulogy.
But I'm not dead.
He's right behind you.
In a good way? Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
Oh gosh. He's like, come on, I want to hear this.
Gentlemen, we're here to pay our last respects to Simmons, who died so suddenly and so violently.
Oh, man, this is the best day ever.
Simmons wore maroon
Oh
armor.
God.
He talked a lot and did some work.
Yep.
Also, he liked to come.
That is all.
The end.
What? That's it? That's my funeral?
Not quite. Let's get that garbage pail.
Oh.
Gum thing. I never imagined that my death could somehow be worse than my life, but
Yeah.
here it is. Bitchin'. I contributed to the talks a lot part. I don't talk a lot. I talk a regular amount. Do you really think I talk a lot? Huh? Oh, yeah. Sure, Simmons. Whatever. I hate you.
I love how they just accept that he's back.
I could have made a flower arrangement for the funeral. There's just so few chances to do that around here.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Donut. I'm sure one of us will get killed again soon. Oh, you're just trying to make me feel better. And I love that about you.
Aww.
All right,
Okay,
everyone,
back
spread
to the
out.
mission.
What we need is
Oh, look
here
at all these
somewhere.
weapons.
Probably something small, easy to miss.
What is it that they're
Many
getting? It's not an
scans as
AI.
possible. There may be other things here we can use.
Oh, his brew.
That's a good look.
Oh, that's where he gets his
Carolina,
signature weapon.
Indicate got an enemy team outside the door.
Well, let's hope they're not as
The
good at picking locks
sarcophagus.
as you are, York. All right, team. We're about to have company.
Boss, I have good news and bad news. Hit me. We found the markings we're looking for. The bad news is, they're on that.
That?
Oh, that's like a giant safe.
Straight up the
That
stairwell.
actually looks like a
towards the
sarcophagus,
roof.
kinda.
Helipad.
Copy. Already
If it's long enough.
Now, how are we going to get that thing up to the roof?
Shoot a hole.
York, I saw a window
I love how
washing
Ming
when
just
we came into
growls
the
at
facility.
everything.
Can you find where it attaches to the building?
Oh no, that's a tough one. Let me see what I
God,
can
this
do.
looks so nice.
Improvising. Come here, Maine.
Improvising? I
Yep.
hate it when we do that.
Oh, Bjornal Research Facility. Oh, so this is from this. Okay, this is the same company. All right,
Maine, this should work fine.
come
The only
on.
one heavy enough to counterbalance.
Oh, he's gonna jump and it's
don't
gonna
be a
shoot up.
baby.
Oh my God.
Did you hear that noise? Probably the sound of you being an idiot. Probably right.
Oh,
Biscuit.
oh man. That reminds me of the elevator scene in Ruby Volume 2 when they're like, you know the beacon Wi-Fi password?
Stop right there or we'll shoot. We're gonna need bigger handcuffs.
Oh god, Maine!
Is that a knife?
Maine! Calm down!
Well, that ought to buy us some time.
I almost
Yo,
feel
he's
bad
breaking
for
out his new toy.
Don't.
What? I said almost.
Alright, here we go. Here we go! Oh? Who's that? Oh, is that a... Oh, it's a gun. Okay, it's a heavy guy. It's a heavy gunner. Holy shit, that's a pretty cool face mask. Oh, that's dope. Is that a flamethrower?
What the fuck is with this guy?
Oh, gosh. Come on, get him! Oh, that's not gonna do anything. You need to get up close and personal. Oh! Holy shit. Oh! What was that? Come on, use some of that new tech. Oh, that's the plasma cannon. Oh! Oh, that's right, it bounces off surfaces.
It bounces?
Yeah!
It's a gun that bounces. It's the worst gun ever.
No way! That's a cool fucking gun. I remember that from Halo 3. Come on, Carolina. Oh. Oh, this guy's just like doing random like just hitting anything in the area. Oh, that's really smart. Holy shit. Oh. Hey! Gravity hammer! Nice!
That guy was a dick.
Come on. Let's get moving, Wash.
God,
That
she's
with the
such a
purple plane, that
fucking
was your
badass. I love her.
Come on, hurry.
Nice.
I ought to hold him for a while.
Oh!
Okay.
Yeah,
maybe
you were
not.
saying?
Hey, where's Maine? Downstairs.
Downstairs.
Keeping the house occupied. Man, I almost feel bad for them. That's what I said.
479er, this is Team Alpha. We need
Oh,
feedback on
479 is
the
back.
tower.
Roger that. I'm on it.
Come on, it's up here.
You. What are you doing here?
Tex!
Is that a bomb? I knew it.
Oh!
You should have blew up the oil platform.
That thing blew up?
Somebody's been covering our tracks. You were on the roster too, but they hid your name. Why did they send you?
The fourth missing! The
Hey,
fourth
bust up the
missing!
reunion here? Well, we got a problem. Let's go!
Oh my god, if them two fight right now, I'll be so happy. I don't even care if it's in the middle of a mission. Oh god, yo, they're about to kick ass.
Drop your weapon.
Attention,
You dickhead.
assholes.
Disarm the bomb. Easy. No reason to get all dramatic. Okay, let me take a crack. Yeah, fucking do it already. Easy, man. This isn't a bomb. It's a transmitter. Alright, it's not a bomb.
The transmission's
Wait,
out of our
What's
blink.
it transmitting?
That's right.
Our location. Why would it do that?
For backup!
System online, Director.
Oh!
Awaiting your command.
If I may, Director, I think it would be wise if we...
Shut up, Counselor.
Of course, sir.
Just be quiet. Oh my god, orbital strike? Are you fucking kidding me?
What the hell? There were 4 of them here. What the fuck?
Maine! Where's Maine? What? Oh! That's right!
Keep them in front of me. Hey, man. Mind holding this for me for a sec? Well,
This is so cool, dude. Carolina just changed her color, and Tex turns invisible. And this guy's about to be vaporized off the face of the planet.
Locked.
Fire.
Firing main.
Firing Maine, kid! Son of a bitch, the name of the episode. Or the previous episode, I think. Oh my goodness. You guys need to run. Where's Maine? Maine still... Is Maine still down? Down under? Oh, shit. Let's go. Dude, Tex is the backup plan.
This must be karma for kicking Maine out the window.
I don't want to do that.
Uh-oh. Oh! music? Oh, shit. Oh, Lamar! Oh, what? More music? Ooh. This reminds me of, Dead Fantasy when they're all falling. Oh, they got it!
Get the package back to command. Now, on it.
Well, there goes our ride.
Falling towards the sky?
Hey, what happened to
Oh, the other! Oh my god! This is so crazy! Boom! Come on out! Oh shit! Where's Team B? Where's Team B? Where's the other half? That is. There you go! Oh. Wow, this is insane!
479er, the sarcophagus is secure. I repeat, the sarcophagus is secure. We are in.
What's happening?
So, jetpacks, huh?
What the fuck? I guess she doesn't need a jetpack. Yeah. Alright, one mission's done. No! Oh my god! That was so fucking cool!
Maybe you and your girlfriend could find time to go on a killing spree. Do some real bonding. Tucker. Oh, that's right. Not your girlfriend.
Dude,
Just
the
girl you're stalking.
animation
They're
is
both
on
romantic
another
business.
fucking level right now.
Please, I just need a little more
What
time.
is in the sarcophagus, though?
I do. I'm supposed to do this. Fine. Where is she now?
Episode
She's talking with
16,
Kluttz.
Hell's
Let's keep her busy
Angel.
for at least a few minutes. Half an hour if she starts asking him math problems.
Oh gosh,
Hey,
so that's either
gotta
Tex or
stick around a while
Carolina. Hell's
longer.
Angel?
You are?
I'm pretty sure that's Tex.
You are?
Yeah. Caboose here said you guys need some help with the tank, so I figured I could help with that too.
Ah,
What can I
Sheila!
say? I like the kid.
Plus, I paid her $100.
That too.
Money. Why didn't I think of that?
Because you don't
'Cause
have
you're
any money.
dumb.
Good point. Hey, Caboose, give me some money.
Okay, wait.
Oh.
This is a trick. I'll pay you $100 to show me how it works. Can't believe you guys didn't know this was Lopez and not me. What do you expect? He had the perfect disguise. He painted himself maroon.
Yeah, and there was still brown on him.
How could anyone be expected to see through that? He spoke Spanish. No one else does. That didn't seem weird at first.
Pretty much.
You always go through those annoying phases. Like, remember that time you were going to learn to play banjo? Or the time you were going to be a vegan? What do you mean, phases?
Oh, God.
I am a vegan. And I can play the banjo. I know, and isn't all that annoying? But you couldn't figure it out. You don't know me at all. To be fair,
Yeah,
we
I
didn't know
mean,
Lopez either.
nobody really knows
both
anybody.
equally as
You
little.
guys aren't even the real
See how we
yous.
get confused. Also, we didn't really care. Yeah, but Lopez was here a day. I've been here for years. You have? See, I'm learning new stuff about you already. Now the next time an evil robot
Come
tries to
on,
take your
Griff,
place,
stop being a
I'll have
jerk.
questions to ask. Shut up. Why the hell am I the one cleaning up my own body? This is insulting.
Rip
Hey, what do you think
Lopez.
he's using all this equipment for? I don't know, boring stuff? Who cares?
He never found out what he was trying to
Got
do.
it. You like boring stuff. Never mind what I said. I'm sure it's something for sports. It looks like we have a mystery to solve. What do you
Oh gosh. The mystery bunch.
Hey, got a second? Sure. What do you want to talk about?
Come on.
Caboose. I want to talk to Tex. Oh.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I want to talk
Alone.
to her alone. You can't talk to someone alone. There has to be two people. Those are the rules. I
I love you, dude.
I suppose she could stand really far away, and then you could yell.
Get out.
That might work. Caboose, I would like for you to leave. Oh. I get it. I'm so embarrassed. I'll just go over there for a little while.
Thank
Come on,
you.
Tex. No. Tex, please, can you help me out here?
Oh, no. I'm sure this conversation is a lot more entertaining
Yeah.
than whatever you want to say to me.
That's messed up.
Men, thanks for gathering so
Caboose
quickly.
is so
It appears we have a
complicated.
crisis on our hands. I'm now going to turn this meeting over to our chief science engineer, Simmons.
Finally, some respect.
Who's going to talk for a little while,
Yep.
but not too much. And he's not going to over-explain things in that way he does, and then he's going to stop talking and turn the meeting back over to me. Simmons?
Thank you, Sarge.
Nobody likes this guy, Jesus.
Analyzing the equipment that Lopez
I love Simmons.
I have found that the planet is undergoing a total seismic breakdown. There's clear evidence of an unstoppable chain of events which is leading to a full systemic collapse. Now I
Oh.
realize this may cause some of you to panic. Or
Nope.
it may confuse most of you because you don't understand what I said.
Can we wrap this up, please?
The world is breaking. we're all gonna die.
What? Why would you tell us like that?
Hmm.
It's like ripping off a Band-Aid.
You know what? Fuck you guys. Stupid people get to live a life of worry and fear. You're all doomed.
This is the worst news ever.
Jesus.
And don't worry. We've got a plan in place.
Tex and Epsilon need to get out of there then.
Now we all know that the
Sarge's plan
planet
to
is trying
kick the
kill
planet's
us.
ass.
We need to
God.
strike back, and quickly. Scare the crap out of it.
What?
Griff, what's that bad sci-fi movie where they discover a natural disaster and their first attempt to solve the problem is to use a huge bomb?
That's every bad sci-fi movie, sir.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what we're
Oh
gonna do.
dear,
Now,
a
here's the
drill,
plan.
cross mantle core
We're
drill,
building an
the
enormous
plan,
killing machine.
bomb
It's
here.
My three-phase plan. Step 1, bust through the crust. Step 2, skedaddle through the mantle. Step 3, bore to the core. Once in the core, we'll set off an enormous bomb to stabilize the planet.
How will
To
a bomb
kill
stabilize
everybody.
the planet?
It won't, duh. But through a series of dramatic setbacks, calamities, and yes, hopefully a few of us dying on the mission, we'll find the true
Hopefully?
cause and
What do you
solution
mean?
to the problem. And save the world.
Seriously?
I like the plan. Me too. Let's do it.
Great.
God,
All right,
no.
to the drill. Donut, you find the deepest, darkest hole where we can stick it in.
I have a list of candidates right here.
Griff, I need you to
Oh
build this bomb.
my
How the hell do I do
fucking
that?
god.
By
You
the way,
would give
son,
that line to
I'm sure.
Donut. Come on.
I guess I'll look on the internet.
Excellent.
The deepest,
Work,
darkest hole.
Got a planet to fight.
Jesus.
I mean, save. Whatever.
Team B report.
Okay, we're back.
Team B is down. We have
Oh.
taking fire.
Be right there.
Negative. Get the package. Head out of the city.
Roger that.
Reading Team B's tracker.
Damn, North is for the mission. Let's go.
I got him.
We'll cut him off at the overpass. Go, go!
Where are you going?
Come in, mother of invention.
We read you, Agent Texas. Go ahead.
Phyllis, I need you to fire Ordnance Pod 0401 to my position.
I am sorry, but I cannot verify the contents of that pod. Protocol dictates
Just
that all...
fire it, Phyllis.
Acknowledged.
Okay,
Safety
damn.
Protocol override.
Whatever the
Firing
director
pod
gets.
0401.
Whatever the director wants, he gets. What is that?
Hello there.
Okay. A motorcycle and a fucking rocket launcher. Jesus. Oh my god. What's with Texan rocket launchers, man? They go hand in hand. Oh, there he is. Go main. Oh my god, this reminds me of the highway scene from Ruby Volume 2! Uh-oh. He killed that guy? Jesus. I can't imagine how you guys watch this week to week. I feel like I'm being teased right now.
What a brilliant
Constant
idea.
back and
Next you're gonna
forth.
ask me if I tried the keys.
You have keys?
No.
How do you know
I think
so
this
much
is the
about
last
people?
episode in the
During
batch.
the training, we had to learn to care for our equipment. Plus, I've always liked cars.
Episode 17,
Training,
Spiral.
huh? Was that before...
What is
Before
in the
what?
sarcophagus, and
Before I
what
was
is
killed?
in
Before you brought me back as
that
whatever I am
briefcase?
now?
Oh.
And how would it
You
be
know about
related
that?
to Project
Of course I do.
Freelancer?
I know what
Alpha's
you
already
know.
created too.
You made me.
Well, no, not me.
Yeah, whatever. Him.
Hey, why did he do it? I don't even remember when you first came around. You were just kind of there one day. It was like a training session or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Wyoming to Maine.
Yep.
Dummies.
But why did he bring you back?
You
Dummies.
church? I don't know. You tell me. He didn't exactly ask me what I wanted. I just kind of came along for the ride. I didn't get a vote.
But you were there when Alpha was there. Nobody else was.
I don't know. What can I say? I guess we were
Byproduct.
inseparable. There you go. Take
Oh my god. Pause. I guess we're inseparable. Get it? Her name is Texas, his name is Church. The separation of church and state. Get the fuck out of here! Oh my god, that's so cheesy. I guess we're inseparable. Okay, that was really neat. Alright, 3, 2, 1, play.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think I do.
Nice work, Maine.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Still
Oh,
on the
look at
way.
that, he's talking.
Response team is probably on the way.
Alright, they got the briefcase. What's in there, though? And when does Maine go AWOL?
Coming through. Excuse me. Look out.
Hey, York's a good driver with one fucking eye. He has no depth perception. He's a really good driver with one eyeball. Oh, they have jetpacks too! That is so fucking cool! Oh, a sniper. Careful!
Main protects the briefcase.
Careful! Ooh! He's not dead though. Oh, Tex is coming! Thank God! You are the backup plan! Oh my God! Oh my God, this chick is a literally Hell's Angel! I don't know who they're talking about now, her, the other, or Tex. No! Get it, get it! Hold it, hold it! Oh my gosh! No, no, no! Nice, good shit, York! Jesus, this is so dynamic! So much shit's happening! So much energy going on right now. Oh! That's what you get for fucking shooting him.
Watch it.
Oh my God! Yo, this freaking fight is so awesome. Camera, cinematography is great too. Oh! Oh my God, dude! Carolina! Oh my God, Maine! This music's really good, by the way!
Don't let her grab it first.
Who cares who gets it first?
I do.
Cause she doesn't want, cause if Tex does it, she's gonna get on the top of the fucking list, and she's jealous. Go! Ooh, that fucking pep in your step!
I got to quit jumping off stuff today.
Come on, she's your teammate! Stop competing with each other!
Fall back, Agent Carolina. I've got this.
You fall back.
Oh no! Literally, they're competing! That's not good! Get fucked! Wow. Who's gonna get it? Who's gonna get it? It's one of them. Oh, her theme song! Oh man, this is so, I know I'm watching this season for the first time, but the music already feels nostalgic. You okay? Tex is gonna get it, watch. Oh my God, Allison, you look just like her!
Heading home.
Excellent work, Agent Texas.
Thank you, sir. Better luck next time, Carolina.
Oh. My friend Allison, she looks just like her! She looks just like Pyrrha! Oh my goodness. Are we gonna get to okay, never mind. I was gonna say, are we gonna get to see like everybody, but I don't know if that's holy shit. I don't know what to say. That was 31 minutes of just my emotions all over the place. How much time is this? 37 minutes. Holy fuck, dude. Tex beat Carolina. What does that mean for the placements now? Because York got injured and he goes down the whole freaking 4 ranks. Tex isn't even on the board and she's gonna jump straight to number 1. Oh no. What is Carolina gonna say to the director now? Like, she's been on the top for the longest time. That was such a fun batch. Georgia, thank you so much for batching all of these together. I can't imagine at any point in time me cutting half of this and coming back like next week for it. Wow. What the fuck, is Maine dead? No, I know Maine's not dead, but like, what's his status right now? The dude got shot multiple times, got hit by a car, got launched off of the freaking bridge, right? At what point does is it the UNSC that takes custody of him? Or like teams up with him to take down, like to recover the Alpha? Like, at what point does Maine switch sides? You know, is it before he gets an AI? Is it after he gets an AI? Does he even get an AI? He's not on the list either. You know what I mean? Like, he made a sacrifice right here, but I know he's not dead because I guess he died in season 8 when he fell off the glacier. Holy shit, dude. Everybody contributed. Everybody had a spotlight. Well, for the most part. Like, York, too! Just being the freaking designated driver, making, like, all the turns and stuff like that. Wow. This was great. And then, again, harkening back to his lockpicking skills in Out of Mind, which, you know, it talked about briefly. And again, it's the same thing with, you know, his eye situation. We kind of learned back then that he was still able, that he did those things and that he was affected by those things. But then now it's kind of like, it's put to the forefront, like, hey, of course I can break this lock. And you have the context of Out of Mind to support it. Holy shit. What's in the sarcophagus? What's in the briefcase? Are they both tied to like, is the sarcophagus like locked and the key is in the briefcase? And if that's the case, what's inside of that sarcophagus? Because I think, what's his name? I think the director last batch of episodes, he was like when he was congratulating them on their you know, North and South and Carolina's infiltration of Karan Industries, you know, the research facility, or the cryogenics research facility. He was like, your success allowed us to find, you know, to obtain valuable information on our next mission. And they retrieved a data file, and I guess that data file told them about the contents of whatever is in the sarcophagus and that briefcase. But he said it's important for Project Freelancer, but the Alpha's already created, so they already have shouldn't they already have the means to make the other artificial intelligence, right? I can't believe Alpha's alive. Alpha in his, fully constructed. Like, he even was, like, talking to the director. He was like, I thought about it way faster than you. So he still has, like, Delta's logic and, like, computing, you know, thought process and everything. Like, he's full. He's complete. He's not church yet. Holy crap. And it's kind of funny because then technically that means that the director was kind of talking to himself in a way. Wow. That was a great batch. Like, I personally do feel like the Blood Gulch stuff definitely got in the way. A lot more than I initially thought, because it would have been so much better if they just kept it, like, if they just made the past sequence, like that entire mission, its own like sequential episode, you know, for the 4 to 5 episodes. But, you know, obviously there's still relating context with whatever's going on with the Capsh unit and with Epsilon, and, you know, he's touching base with Tex right now, talking about, like, you know, trying to figure out, like, she was around, but the other AI weren't. And that's because you haven't been tortured yet. And she was a byproduct of your creation. So when you were created, she was created because the feelings of Allison were so strong for the director that they kind of passed on to the Alpha and therefore created a beta, which is basically kind of like a direct copy, but based on the failure that Allison died. So, shit. I feel like I'm going to have a lot to talk about in the next batch. And this reaction batch is already over an hour long, definitely over an hour. It's probably like an hour and a half at this point. This is my longest reaction that I've done for Red versus Blue thus far. Pre-reaction discussion, the reaction, and what I'm, my wrap-up right now of my first impressions. But that was a very, very entertaining, and a lot of callbacks to Ruby, too. Like, you had those two dudes in the elevator. I think it was an elevator. Like, they were like, he was like, did you hear anything? Just you being an idiot. Like, that reminded me of the guards in Volume 2 that were like, do you know the beacon Wi-Fi password? And then, again, the highway fight scene, which was also in Volume 2, similar to that. Well, this one was a lot more dynamic, had a lot more action and energy. Transitions, camera placement, the music, too. Like, we got... I think it was Casey Lee Williams and Lamar Hall. I think the song I heard, I think it was like Falling Towards the Sky. I think that could be the name of the song. I'm not sure, but I need to hear that song too on the when I do my soundtrack discussion, when I do the video of listening to the soundtrack for the first time. Shit, man, a lot of stuff happening. We saw a bunch of other characters too that we never seen before. Like we saw a blue armored Spartan, so I think that's like a different freelancer. South is not on the mission. That is not good. Then again, it's because she doesn't play well. She doesn't do well with stealth, and stealth was a big component here. So, but I feel like that's going to make her situation a million times worse. A million times worse. To be ostracized from her teammates, from her peers. That's driving her, that's a downward spiral. But like I said, I kind of talked about that ad nauseum at this point, but holy shit. I'm going to go back, rewatch the episode, gather my thoughts fully for my next reaction batch, which will be the finale reactions of 18, 19, and 20, finishing up half of Project Freelancer with Season 9 finishing and wrapping up. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I really hope you guys found this entertaining. I really hope you guys enjoyed all of my thoughts and my reactions and my excitement and of seeing everything for the first time. This was a great batch. Thank you again, Georgia, for putting these together for me. And I will see you guys in the next video for the finale of Season 9 of Red vs. Blue. Take care.